Thanks for staying with us. This is Daybreak. With me in studio is Wafula Biko on my far right, Njeri Kahiga, Otieno Mokaya, Winfred Asiko, Kip Korir Serem, and also Philip Pande, who are with me this morning in studio. And Biko, coming to you, there seems to be then shifting our attention to the institutions that were created by Katiba, and Parliament was under the spotlight of the President on Wednesday. It's concerning, is it, that coming from the head of state, yet he also warned MPs to vote for the finance bill in 2023, calling on the same members of parliament that they can't afford to vote against it. Is the House a punching bag for the executive?
I think, allow me to say this, that the fact that the young people are at the center of every aspect is because either the government or the opposition, they have failed to understand what the young people want. The young people want jobs. The young people want to be able to go to hospital and get treatment. The young people want to be able to have a fair playing field whereby they can be able to apply for tenders in this government. The young people want space where they can be able to speak their mind without being arrested, killed, or tear-gassed. And this is something that no government or any political outfit has failed to grasp. If I escalate the conversation from scramble for the young people to what's happening in Parliament, I believe President Ruto is on to blame for that particular mongrel that he's now complaining about. When he became president, the first thing Ruto did was to make sure that he controls Parliament completely. And he's been able to nurture and feed this particular dog to such a level that now it's also biting himself. So President Ruto is unable to push his agenda because now corruption has become the main aspect of doing business in Parliament. So if a particular CS wants to get a clean bill of health in terms of how they've been managing the ministry, they have to bribe their way out. And it's become very expensive because you can no longer keep bribing your way out. So Ruto should look in the mirror and see that he's the person to blame for the kind of mess we are in. Number two, Parliament used to be a house of honor and a house that looked and represented the will of the people. Unfortunately, at the moment, the house, this particular Parliament is a rubber stamp for the president. So it behooves me to ask myself, what is President Ruto trying to do? Because when he tells us that, when he says he's warning members of Parliament to stop corruption, he has their names. He has the instruments of power. He controls the Office of the Public Prosecutor. He controls EACC. Why can't he submit these names to these two institutions and have these members of Parliament arrested? I believe Ruto is playing to the gallery, trying to create a safe environment around him and saying that I am not the problem, these guys are the problem. So I believe, and the young people have called him out. If you look at the conversations we're having on TikTok, on YouTube, on X and Facebook, we've called out President Ruto and told him, this is nonsense. Whatever you're telling us, you're the principal cause. You're the one who's been feeding this particular dog. You're now calling corruption.
And Njeri, certainly this brings us to the point of the contest of morals, is it? Who has the moral authority to call each other out? The executive or the legislature?
First of all, Ayuba, you know, we cannot have a mosquito telling us which malaria vaccine to use. And then again, of all people that should talk about corruption, the president should never be one of them, because if we look recently on the latest political happenings during the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua, it was in public domain that there was money being dished out by the people who wanted the motion to move swiftly through Parliament. We were with you here, Ayub, when I told you that it is only in Kenya where when the political class wants the government printer to work even 11 p.m. in the night, it can work. It's only during political moments when we can have Parliament and Senate sitting late in the night. But we've never seen Parliament and Senate sit late in the night discussing common mwananchi issues. So when it comes to the president telling us about who is asking for bribes, then maybe he should even tell us who gives bribes, because there's no giver with no taker, and there's no also vice versa, because I can tell you one thing for sure. You cannot come to tell us about members of Parliament asking for bribes, and it is in public domain that your regime, and you have had even members of Senate and Parliament in broad daylight say that they used to receive calls from the executive during the impeachment on how to proceed with the impeachment. So when it comes to moral authority, in fact, we in the current parliament and maybe Senate, we might have a very little percentage of politicians with the moral authority to tell us about corruption. Because, you see, I am a believer that for the president to start feeling like the committees are asking for too much money, it's because maybe whatever he has been given has been normalized so much that now they are demanding for more. And the moment the taker is asking for more, the problem is not even with the taker, it's for you who was the giver, because you initiated this platform for them to be demanding for money. Look at the kind of empowerment programs we are having. Where does government get these 100 million within a month or two to dish out in empowerment programs that cannot be budgeted for, are not budgeted for, and we cannot even give a correct audit of how much money has been spent, what is the return in investment. So when we talk about the president and corruption, he should be the last person to speak. And if anything, if he feels he wants to speak, he must speak from the dock of a court of law, where we are supposed to be looking at any corruption dealings he has been involved with previously. Remember, this is the same president when he took power. The first thing that he did is to ensure that any of his friends or any of his political allies who was having any graft case or whatever, it was being thrown out. Or the case was just going in a way meant to tell Kenyans that, you know what, I am here to sanitize any corruption scandal. So for him, he should not talk about corruption. And if he wants us to talk about corruption, he should allow us, we as the Kenyans, to do it.
Philip, admittedly, this is a major problem. But other than the lip service from the politicians, how then can this be followed up with concrete action, given that the House is crucially placed at a critical juncture by the Constitution?
Well, I think it's not a problem occurring today. Parliament was compromised way before this regime. And I'll give you a concrete example. At some point during the Jubilee reign, there was evidence, actually, that members of Parliament, I think in the Agriculture Committee, received bribes as low as 5,000 shillings to pass particular, regulations that were needed by particular sectors or parts of the ecosystem. So what we are looking at today is Parliament that has been used by different regimes differently for convenience. But I would say that I speak about Parliament with a lot of caution, because I may end up there as a member, or I may end up before any committee for whatever reasons. So giving it the benefit of doubt, at the time of the Gen Z protest last year about the financial bill, I said, and I still say today, that actually the masterstroke was with Parliament, not with the presidency. And each time, if members of Parliament act rightfully, act with their conscience right and serving the people first, I think would get out of many storms before they actually occur.
But do they do that?
They don't do that, unfortunately. And so I think the biggest thing is with the integrity of individuals in Parliament, rather than the political parties and the presidency. Because in this very Parliament, you still, however, find some voices that are actually authentic, that resonate with what Mwananchi is saying. And so what we must advocate for as the electorate, and as I say usually, the leaders we elect are a reflection of who we are as a society. Okay. We are never going to get better than we are as a people. So if Parliament is corrupt, corruption exists within the very fabrics of society. How did your member of Parliament, for example, end up as your representative? Okay. Did they bribe their way to Parliament? And if they so did that, then they're going to do exactly that, receive bribes in Parliament. So the integrity starts with Mwananchi, not the presidency, because we have inverted the vision so that we look at the top, but we don't look at the grassroots. So integrity must start with Mwananchi. If we are going to get demand for integrity at the presidential level, at cabinet level, at parliamentary level, integrity must surely start at the grassroots.
Yeah, and Kipkorir, then how does this present itself as an opportunity, a golden one for young voices, not to seek contest for parliamentary seats in the next election, given the performance of the House and also the previous House?
Thank you. I begin by saying, Njeri, my good sister here, used to be a good person before she joined the opposition. she has been consumed by the lies of the same opposition government because independent officers are not controlled by the president. I'll challenge you to go and read the Constitution. The control of independent officers is in the Constitution. That said and done, Ayub. The problem we have here is we fail to understand about independent officers who should control one office, who should do the other. And we, the young people, that is where the buck stops at us, because we should take responsibility from the grassroots. Before we elect these members of parliament, we should scrutinize them very well and take part in that civic democratic right, because it is said the punishment given to good people who do not take part in their civic democratic right of electing their leaders is that they'll be ruled by fools. So we, the young people, are the ones who previously generated these problems. But then after a while, you've seen the young people are now conscious. And I believe in 2027 we'll make the right decisions and all this will come to an end. That said and done again, we must also, as young people, learn about the independent offices and try and find out if a problem is found in a certain independent office, who should carry the blame. If it is, for instance, the TSC for that matter, who should carry the blame? The CEO for that matter, the manager, and so on and forth. So we should not blame everyone for a problem. We should find the root cause of the problem and blame the overall leader of that independent office.
Yeah. And Council, can Parliament, in your view, stand up to the executive? Ideally, it used to have been complaints within the public domain of how the executive has taken hostage the bicameral setup. But now it's the executive complaining, and it seems a game of ping pong. So can Parliament then exercise one of the major powers donated to it by Katiba and the people? For instance, it can impeach a sitting president, but can they? Can our Parliament do that?
Thank you, Ayub. I think I wouldn't have done this conversation justice without confirming one of the things that we need to understand as a people. As a lawyer and an advocate, all serious lawyers are in Diani right now. That does not mean any lawyer in Nairobi is an imposter. But the constitutionally independent bodies are just that. And anything that is not constitutionally independent or practically independent is either improper or wrong. There is nobody who can direct the inspector of police. Nobody should direct the office of the public prosecution. Nobody should direct the judiciary. And that was said very well and eloquently by a very able Chief Justice. Back to the conversation. They say don't start what you can't stop. So if you started something, then all of a sudden it has caught its own pace, then you have to blame for the speed in which it goes. But again, who started this? It's easy to point out to the powerful man. When a huge building is constructed at home, you know you are successful when people start blaming you for it, even if you don't own it. But how did people get in Parliament? How is Parliament constituted? When you go home, I'm sorry to say this, when anyone tries to campaign and you tell somebody to vote to someone, in my language they'll ask, "Nkikia ena arire?" Easily translated to mean, what of his have I eaten? So if that is the vetting platform we are using to elect our leaders, then how come we expect something else? Do you expect somebody who has his own hard-earned money to give it to you without expecting something in return? So if that is the way in which we select the leaders among us, then that will translate into Parliament. When these guys goes into Parliament, the average budget for a parliamentary election is 20 to 40 million. The average salary of a member of Parliament could be net of 800,000. Put in mortgages, the handouts and stuff, you get this guy goes home with 100,000. Where does he get the handouts to come and give you every other weekend? So we have created this problem. We should not complain why it is endemic. We should shift, and I repeat, we should shift the conversation from a right and complaining conversation to a duty and resolve conversation. We should shift from saying who has done what and ask, what have I contributed to this problem, and what can I do or what can we do to right our wrong?
What should young people contribute in course-correcting the House, for instance? Because here's a double tragedy. The president admitted in August 2023 that some of his CSS were incompetent. He made the appointments. Yet it's the House that vets those members. And there were concerns, for instance, about the capacity of the former tourism CS Penina Malonza and others, and the excuses given in Parliament were very flimsy and preposterous. For instance, from Sylvanus Osoro, that someone was experiencing some biological processes, not wanting to use the exact words. But then how do we deal with this double tragedy of the executive presenting half-baked people who lack competence, the process not meriting, and then you have a House that is not keen enough to vet these people as required by the Constitution and give Kenyans people who can deliver service? So it's a double tragedy. Then the question, how do you address the very same question young people are asking, that there is this glaring failure by Parliament as a guardrail in getting Kenyans the right people? They can say no to what the executive presents them, is it?
Our constitution is very robust, and it's touted as the most transformative constitution in Africa and even the world. Our constitution allows people to vie as independent candidates. Though a dog is the best friend to a human being, but a dog takes instructions specifically from the owner of the dog. People who are loyal to their parties cannot play far from the owner of the party. We should first create parties that are national.
Okay.
Number two, vote people who are independent-minded, people who can walk away from party positions. That goes into the quality of people we vote. We don't vote philanthropists and people who give us what we want. Let's vote people who can represent us properly, people who can speak on our behalf, and people who can speak in our way that we don't have to speak. If your member of parliament has been silent until you go to die on the street, then he comes out, then you elected the wrong person.
Thank you.
And to finish off, we should also learn the art of voting for people and not vote against people. Because when we vote in anger and against people, then we vote any other alternative that is not the subject of our hatred.
Thank you. Yes, Winfred.
What I would love to say is, you see, when a basket of tomatoes is rotten, a basket of tomatoes has tomatoes and one tomato is rotten, it means the whole basket will get rotten. So if the executive is corrupt, it means that is just the political class. It means all of them are corrupt. The legislature and everyone else in the political class are corrupt. And you see, I just want to echo what...
That's unfair, is it? It's a broad brush painting. It's blanket condemnation, is it?
It's not.
They're fairly good lawmakers.
Yeah, we have those that are good. I'm not saying that everyone is corrupt. We have good lawmakers. We have good governors. We have good members of parliament. For example, I'm even looking at the Murang'a governor. He's a good governor because we have seen his track record of development in his county. It is very good. The healthcare system is good. Education is good. Yes, so we can't say that all of them are bad. But you see, this is just the same people. So you see, we can't say, the president can't say that he's calling out the corrupt people, yet himself and his cabinet and the executive, they are also part of corruption. Because tell me why a Kenyan youth who doesn't have money will have to part with some money for them to get employment. That is very bad and very uncouth for these young people. Again, you see, when I really want to echo what my fellow comrades just said about the electorate. You see, when someone is going to vie for a position, especially when you're vying for member of parliament, governor, or even woman representative, or any other seat, let's just say any other seat, you see, they'll start asking you, how much have you given me? If you're giving me 1,000, 2,000, I'm going to vote for you. If you're not giving me anything, I am not going to vote for you. So you see, most of the electorate are voting people because of how much they are getting and not based on the ideologies of what these people are presenting to the electorate. So we, as much as we are blaming the political class, we also have ourselves to blame as Kenyans, as the common mwananchi. We need to start looking at individuals, not of how much they are giving us, but of what leadership are they going to offer to us as Kenyans. And you see, young people are the ones who are casualties in this situation, because I'm looking at someone who's 30 years, 29 or 32 or even 31, and they are vying with someone on the same position for, let's say, member of parliament, and this person has a lot of money and this young person doesn't have money. It means the person who has the money is the one who's going to take the seat home, and this young person who doesn't have the money is going to suffer because he's actually not going to win. So we need to start looking at the society needs to start rethinking on our choices of leaders, and we need to start thinking straightforward ahead and not just blaming the political class all along. Yes.
First, I'd like to call out my colleagues. It's very unfortunate for young people to do intellectual dishonesty when discussing matters youth. One, I don't think the young people of this country are to blame for anything, for two reasons. Number one, the political class in this country have designed systems that have actually ensured that the young people have no other alternative or choice. You get, if you look at the current government, for example, my colleague has said that each person's office is constitutional and they're independent. The president has been very clear and categorical. In last year, he was very categorical and said that any member of parliament that will not vote to support his agenda in parliament will not be given money for CDF. Number two, he said that anyone who's going to fight his agenda will see how he's going to be dealt with. The president has come out strongly to coerce and force members of parliament to vote in a particular way. In 2022, the former CS for Interior, Dr. Matiang'i, said that 60% of the then aspirants who are vying for MP, governor, and Senate had criminal cases. President Ruto is a very intelligent schemer. He's decided to pick people who have criminal cases. If you look at the current establishment of our parliament, 70% of those in parliament have criminal cases. So there is no way anyone with a criminal case is going to go against what the president wants, because tomorrow you're going to be sent for DCI. Tomorrow you're going to be sent for KRA. And a good example of a constitutional independent office that has seen a lot of fight from the executive is the Office of the Auditor General. We've seen the Auditor General coming out and saying that she's being trailed. We've seen the Auditor General coming out and saying that her office has been denied budget to employ more people to be able to audit better. We've seen her saying that when she was in Mombasa for a seminar, the police were after her. We've seen this government use police force to coerce independent office holders. My colleague here said that no one can be able to coerce the police general, the inspector of police. The IG himself has been seen on top of cars in some rallies with the president, being political.
In Nyeri County.
Exactly. So for me, one, I'm disappointed in my fellow panels here because we are not being honest in having an honest conversation. We need to actually say, I'm looking in the mirror and I'm seeing the wrong thing here. And we must admit that President Ruto is a very intelligent schemer. He schemed his way around a lot of things. Parliament is compromised. Senate is compromised. The governors are compromised. Look at what's happening in Homa Bay. It was basically a show of opulence. So for us young people, the only thing we are able to do, or the only thing we are going to do, is to continue being heard, continue speaking up, continue planning around on how we can be able to vote for the right people. And why I'm actually holding the skirt for the young people is, one, from 2013, the Jubilee administration removed the essence of civic education from any aspect. We have an electorate that has no idea what the role of an MP is. We have an electorate that has no idea what is the role of a senator. And it's because the government has deliberately destroyed the essence of civic education. There's no budget for that. And they've been able to remove all the needed infrastructure. Okay. So it becomes easier to blame the young people, when in essence it's the same government that's actually made it very difficult for the young people to know what needs to be done.
Yeah, and it was not on the CDF part, or just to correct you also, Biko, he said, I'm waiting to see lawmakers who will go against the government's plan to provide jobs for their constituents. We want to see who will oppose this finance bill. And some of you leaders, he said, are lying to Kenyans, but know that if your MP is against the finance bill that's in 2023, you should not ask for roads.
Exactly.
This was in Narok County. This was in relation to development, but not CDF. And Parliament still controls the power of the...
No. My point is this. It's unfortunate for us to say that Ruto does not control Parliament or Senate. He does. And he's been very clear about it. When he speaks to speak by roadside declarations, he knows on how to be able to press what button. He knows whether they're going to send you KRA, whether they're going to send you DCI, or whether they're going to deny you a development budget. And this, even a child of 1 month can tell who controls what. So for me, I would like the young people here to first and foremost admit that there's a problem. Yes, the Constitution gives office holders the independence not to be frustrated by the executive. But unfortunately, Chapter 6 of our Constitution was disregarded when we're voting for these people. So key people in key positions have integrity issues. Key people in key positions have criminal cases. And Ruto is taking advantage of this. So we need to admit that and tell ourselves that going forward, we need to vote in people of integrity who will not have anything to hide in the closet.
And I'll come to Philip. Njeri, how easy is it to control, as he says, all of you have admitted, a collection of 416 adults of the bicameral parliament?
First of all, Ayub, you know, my fellow panelist here has accused me of joining opposition, and it is important.
Have you?
I have been in opposition. I have not joined. You know, the problem with government, when it sends some of these mercenaries to studio to defend it, they don't give them factual information. Njeri Kahiga has not joined opposition. I've been in opposition since 2022, when where Azimio lost. I have been in the streets with the young people from 2022 when this government came into, and I've been one of the vocal youths who have been saying that the president has made it his business to make every other institution of this country an extension of the executive. And by that, I want to be very categorical and say that I cannot be among the young people who wake up and try show the young people that the president, you know, is a good person and, you know, we need to be defending him. No. We need to call him out when the need arises, because I am yet to understand how we will have a parliament that is going to be adjourned when serious issues of Mwananchi are being discussed, but we've never seen any member of parliament not available for things like impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua. So when I talk about, when you ask your question about how we are able to, the executive is able to control parliament, it's because we have members of parliament who, when they were doing campaigns, had no idea of what they're going to do for their people when they get into power. Secondly, as my colleague said, the electorate has made both the voter and the person seeking to vote have made elections look like a business strategy, like a business idea. If you have 60 million and you're wondering which business you want to open, you think of going for an MP seat somewhere because you know it's going to give you return in investment. And sadly, Wanjiko back in Mashinani is willing to take the money and give you the vote. And then it becomes your business to go back when you go to parliament to make sure that your return on investment is what you focus on first. And the moment a member of parliament goes into parliament with a deficit of 50 million, 100 million, 20 million, that person is first going to work on bridging the financial crisis that they found themselves in when they were seeking this seat. Secondly, the moment we have a president who, from the word go in 2022, has made it his business to be on car tops, has made it his business to dish out money anyhowly without wanting to look at the situation that we as a country are getting into. When we look at our debt, where we are getting to a point where, Ayub, we will be told we are paying a debt, but we cannot even see what it has been doing, because when we talk of school capitation not being available, but we have 100 million to give Mama Mboga and watu wa boda boda. When we talk about our hospitals and insurances not functioning properly, but we have 2,000 to give youths in Nairobi in the name of International Youth Day, and it begs the question: what are our priorities as a country? Because the president has made political has made it his business to push the political agenda every other day. And that is why until today we are still discussing Rigathi Gachagua. Somebody who they said after 2 weeks of his impeachment, he would no longer be a discussion. I wish the president can take it to his self to just ensure that for the remaining years, ashuke juu ya magari, let him be in the office, let him deliver what he promised the Kenyan people.
Yes, Philip, your hand is up.
Thank you, Ayub. You know, it's interesting that Biko is attempting to set the rule for everybody, that we should talk in some tone or in some manner. We know what is ailing this country, and what is ailing this country is not the president. And talking about opposition, I think I've served in the opposition for the longest time, since 2007 when I was a Form 1. The gist of the matter is that you can't have your cake and eat it at the same time. We can't blame the president for corrupt members of parliament, that the president, like he's attempting to say, chose over 70% of people with criminal cases or criminal records. Who elects members of parliament? It's the people. So the problem is the people. He's talking about the Jubilee government having, freeze the space for civic engagement. I remember that for the longest time, as a young leader, I have been training budget champions and public participation champions in my own county with our own resources mobilized as young people. And so at some point, we need to really reflect on what is happening in this nation without apportioning blames to particular people. We can't come on studio from Monday to Monday and blame a particular individual because of our rot as a nation. Everybody has to come and take their share of blame. If it's the public, they have to take their portion. If it's we, the young people, we have to take our portion of the blame. And I'll give you a clear...
What percentage do you think the president should take?
I think he takes the percentage of correcting the errors that are within his administration. But he cannot take an entire share of the blame of the public having elected inept members of county assemblies or even members of parliament. I'll give you an example.
But we should be concerned, is it? As
yes, we are. I am concerned.
Yeah. When the public, you said, this is democracy. I mean, yes. One of the downsides is that you get outcomes that are not compatible with the tenets of democracy. And that's concerning. It's a fundamental point that you raised. But is it also not concerning when the president awards incompetence?
It is. And I'll tell you that the president has been on record calling out members of his cabinet. But I was in Kakamega on Tuesday when the president was impressed by the delivery of the principal secretary in charge of the youth affairs. For once, like I mentioned, in 10 years, this principal secretary, who is a youth for that matter, has mobilized the president to come to the International Youth Day celebrations. And the gist of the matter is, what he's talking about in details is, what can we do as young people in supporting the democracy? Because it's not just a right. There is also the responsibility that comes with being a citizen. And what impressed me in this particular meeting is that there was a young man in the crowds identified when he raised his hand and he wanted to engage the president. And this is what he says, that the president, you have taken part of the blame. But the problem is not just actually you. It's also part of the administration, the people that you appoint to help you or work with you. So it means that Kenyans, unlike some of us sitting here, realizes that it's not, after all, the presidency. It's also the people that work for the government. It's also the people that work for the public. Yeah. Let's give each other time.
Are appointed by the president.
Let's go to the details. It's also the details of people who work for the administration. You are coming to a government and you are inheriting a team that is appointed by half by your deputy, half by yourself. You go into a conflict with the deputy. He is impeached. He gets out of government. He is left half or quarter of his what would call surrogates in government.
For example, who are Gachagua surrogates?
I would give you a good example. When cabinet was shared and cabinet was being appointed initially, Honorable Rigathi Gachagua is on record that the Mount Kenya, for example, has to get its share of 8.
Let's get names, okay?
Yeah. I don't want to mention names of somebody that was appointed. I don't want to give a name that was particularly appointed by the deputy president as a minister. But we know that in the regime that we are working with, we have a shared responsibility of what a deputy president does, what a president does, and what we are saying is that everybody has to take their share of blame. A member of parliament has to take his share of blame. A citizen has to take his share of blame. And the president has to take his responsibility.
All of us take responsibility
Yes.
for actions, except the president himself.
He does. He has to take...
But he's the one who is appointing these people.
Yes, Seremia. I'll come to you, Winfred.
You see, we the young people, we need to provide solutions and criticize where necessary. Sometimes we do the exact opposite. That is, I guess, what my friend here, Njeri, is doing. Because you cannot be each and every morning.
You have a problem.
No, give me my time.
You have a problem with me.
Ayub, protect me.
I'm not the only panelist.
Protect
in this. No, I have to be protected. You cannot keep referring to Njeri Kahiga.
Where you heckle. Listen to me.
I don't heckle. Listen, you cannot be referring to me every time. I have to be protected. Ayub.
Hang on. You are under my care and protection.
Yes.
As they are.
Okay.
Give you the right of reply. So you should be less worried. Winfred, I'll come to you after him.
Okay.
Yes, please.
So I was saying, Ayub, before they...
Without necessarily focusing on her, making your point.
Let him focus on me because I'll also focus on him.
We the young people
So let's focus on the agenda.
We should criticize where necessary and provide solutions where necessary. You find we follow the songs we do not know where they began, and we keep on chanting because we want to gain I do not know what, and that should not be the case. We should find a problem and criticize there, and also provide a solution where necessary. For example, this morning, I saw a youth from Kericho. He sent me a text message. He said, this nonsense of members of parliament selling TSE letters left, right, and center should come to a halt. Okay. That is a serious concern that should be aired. And I felt in my position that it tells you there is an institution failing. And the guy was even, he was even to a point of giving up and saying, you know, even if they must sell, tell them to reduce the price. 400,000 is too much for us. So I really felt for that gentleman. And I said, indeed, these are the people we should listen to them. They are providing the real problems which they are facing. Now, when you come to solutions that you should provide, talk, for instance, about last year when we had a problem with the new university funding model. And we had a committee that was formed. Many people were against the committee, and I was in the committee. And I told the generals we were with, let us work in this committee, then provide solutions to the president and see if he will act on them. And I can assure you, Ayub, the solutions we provided, they have been acted upon. An example being, number one, we had reduction in the cost of program. For example, medicine last year costed 612,000. Effective from September, it will be costing, in academic year, 300,000. Never had you seen that in the history of Kenya. That has never happened in the history of Kenya. You can check there. That has never happened in the history of Kenya. And many more. We provided many solutions. It is only that they are being implemented in phases. What I see the colleagues of my friends here, they are always digging for a negative. Let us not dig for a negative. Let us provide solutions where necessary and also criticize where necessary.
Yeah, I'll come to you, but as I look at the paperwork shared by Philip, yes, Winfred, I'll come to you. Yes.
Okay, I want to call out my friend here who's just seated next to me, who's a pro-government comrade, and also Philip. You see, you cannot say that President Ruto is not the person to blame for what is happening in the country, yet he's the head of the house. If you are the father of the house and there's a problem in your homestead, who is to blame? It is actually you as the father. Whom are we going to blame for the bad economy that we have as a country, Kenya? Whom are we going to blame for SHA not covering for all the medical expenses for people when they go to hospital? Whom are we going to blame when the young people of this country cannot even access the jobs? Whom are we going to blame when a lot is happening in this country under his watch? It's actually him to blame because he's actually the head of state. And if it's him to blame, he needs to start sitting down and agree with his advisors and his cabinet on how he's going to solve the issue that are affecting Kenyans. Just because you are supporting the government doesn't mean you should come here and start lecturing us comrades on this panel and telling us that we should also sing to your two-term praises. We are not here for that. that. We are here to call out what is supposed to be called out. We are here to say things as they are. We are not here to sugarcoat things as Kenyans. We are Kenyans of sound mind. We are Kenyans who have gone to school. We have degrees. We are not just any other people. We are comrades that have school, have everything, have all the knowledge on our fingertips. So you cannot come here and start telling us that we are not going to blame the president because it's the people to blame. How can you blame the youth of this country when someone is surviving on 100 shillings, less than $1 a day? The youth of this country are suffering. So actually, I just feel like the youth of this country are on our own. And as I'm looking at the biggest revolutionary acts in this world, I am looking at Malcolm X, I am looking at Martin Luther King Jr., and these people made greater strides as youth in their country. And it is our time as young people of this country to come out, call out bad governance as we did during the Maandamano, and it is also our right as the young people to come out, vie for these positions, and ensure that we are going to correct the mess in this country. But as we keep sleeping on the job, this is the reason as to why people like Evans will come here and tell us that, we should clap for the president when the young people don't have jobs.
Jesangon, your hand was up. Councillor, I'll come to Jesangon a bit. Yes, briefly.
I'd like to address two issues. One, when you look at terms like Kasongo or two-term, where are they coming from? It is important to understand the context. The term like one-term or two-term has come from the cries of the people. People are really going through it in such a way that their rallying call is, you're going to be a one-term president. It's the youth sitting down and having a conversation and saying the only way we can create attention for the rest of the youth to know what you're feeling is to come up with a phrase. So it's not that we don't know where these phrases are coming from. One term is because the young people are tired. There are no jobs. The policies that are being put in place are making job creators to flee the country. Energy is too expensive. Cost of fuel is too expensive. Our tax code is unpredictable. So the origin of these terms is from our own suffering. Number two, I'm very disappointed with this colleague because in 2022, the cost of medicine was between 280 to 350 per year. Ruto...
That's a lie.
Ruto...
How much was it?
It was 612,000.
You are joking. You are a joker.
Just confirm.
You are a joker.
Confirm.
During Uhuru's regime.
Confirm. Nothing like Uhuru's regime.
Don't lie to us.
Confirm.
Okay, so let me make it.
Ayub.
We are all degree holders. Yes,
we can't put lies here.
So we'll fact check.
There are some things which are fairly obvious facts. Can we check?
We will fact check and I'll apologize if I'm wrong.
Yeah. Ayub.
When this government took over, cost of education went high. And I remember the president going around the country and being very tough. We're going to make sure, we're going to do this. Then they introduced a system whereby you put in several bands. So that if there's a case of a student who was an orphan, but was put in band 1, where the parents work, where the family has money. You get, cost of education has gone up, rightly so, by the President Ruto's regime. I remember Ruto saying that we can no longer continue running the way things are running because we need to look for resources to educate. One of the biggest challenges with our universities has been capitation, and especially in research and development. And Ruto said that the reason why school fees had gone up was to look for the resources to be able to plug that particular deficit. Right now, young people went to the streets, they complained, they set up a committee. The committee recommended reduction of the school of tuition. Ruto has gone back to the original fee structure of 2022. Now, we are supposed to stand up and clap and say, thank you, Mr. President, for this. This is wrong. And as a young person, it is very wrong.
Councillor hasn't spoken. I'll come and attend to you too.
You attend to me as well,
mine is burning and very urgent.
Maybe Ayub, we need to have a refresher course on the class 3 debating rules. You don't we should avoid very much and constrain ourselves from being reactionary, because after that it becomes a heckling battle. So if we do 15 minutes refresher on the class 3, Mr. Speaker, debating rules, we'll do ourselves a very good favor. I am impressed that we are disappointing each other in this conversation, because that is the very essence of debate, and that's the very essence of thinking, because you can't sustainably think without risking offending someone. So as long as we offend each other here, then it means we are all thinking which we should clap for ourselves. Back to the point. They say in Swahili or in TZ that kuwa mpinzani sio kupinga kila kitu. They come to Mombasa, they tell you mgala muwe na haki mpe. You can't be negative about everything, even negative about yourself. We have our problems as a country. We have our problems even in our own families. We are the same generation that thought our parents, specifically our fathers, were the most extravagant, careless, and useless people because they were broke on day one, on date one, on payday. But we are the same people who earn 4 times what our fathers earned, and we can't afford to marry. So we should introspect first before we project. I have my problems with the university funding model, but I learned in an era when my school fees was 18,000 and my hostel fees was 6,000. At 25,000 shillings, I was sorted for a year. And I believe if it's not broken, don't fix it. So that was a mistake. But when somebody has made a mistake, what happens? Do we crucify him with that mistake? We tell him, correct this. And if they correct, we say, asante, we move forward. I have issues with the empowerment programs that are happening in the whole country. But do I stand in every opportunity I get to insult and heckle everyone about the empowerment program? I happen to be part of a team of football players, and I dared try the extent to which these empowerment programs were going by attending the State House one last week. Not because I support the way it's done, but I want to speak from facts. I went there, I applied for a team of 10 boys to receive a car wash. I expected to be washed the way people are saying around. I can tell you this day, I received a 10,000 liter tank. I received 2 car wash machines, and right now we are looking for a site for my boys to be washing cars. I'm projecting each of them will be earning 30 to 35,000, and that is simple because if you wash 3 cars, you are at 1,000 shillings. Do that for 30 days, you'll be earning what a random matatu tie wearing a bank teller earns in every other day. That is a positive. Do I have problems on how that money is spent? Yeah. Yes. Can we channel that money better? Yeah. Yes.
So it's a good problem for you.
It's a good problem for me, but I can't complain whether I can take advantage of it, then complain while I'm moving
forward.
And
that's the problem.
Now, we are talking about devolution, we are talking about corruption.
Please, finish up.
As I finish, devolution was born in Nyanza, was conceived in Nyanza. It was born in central Kenya. Jaramogi Oginga Odinga was so afraid of the executive that he pushed for devolution to help his people, not necessarily to support government for them to get development. Okay. Maandamano was conceived in Nyanza. It is being born in central Kenya. We should separate our problems from people.
Thank you.
We should base our issues on solutions. Where I work while I finish, you are not, just like the Bible says, don't speak in tongues if you can't interpret them. In my place of work, we have a rule. Don't point out of a problem until you have a solution.
Thank you. Yes, Njeri.
Ayub, you know, it's very sad that somebody will proudly tell us how they benefited from money that we can't audit, and they want us to look at that like a good problem. And for me, as a young person, I normally say, if at all you being a beneficiary of corruption is not corruption, then you are not also supposed to tell us about corruption. And I have to say this, any money that is being dished out by politicians, by the president, by MCAs, by MPs that cannot be audited, yet we as taxpayers are having to pay hefty taxes, I cannot clap for that. Secondly, the president created the problem of the funding model, and now he has brought a solution. As a sober young person, I'm not going to clap at a solution brought by the same person who brought the problem. I can tell you this for a fact, Ayub, that we have a regime that has made it its business to create problems, bring solutions, and expect us as youths to clap. You know, Ayub, the time that we have spent, the young people who have dropped out from university during the time that this funding model was being brought into play are very main. Tutawaendea wapi, Ayub? When do we start then going for them and telling them, you dropped out, please come back? Some of these people have even given up on university, now they are doing other things. And we are not going to clap at for that. And those who want to clap can clap, because you've had my colleague here say that this is not my Facebook page. Meaning now you want to bring my political affiliations to a platform like this. And it's unfortunate because government has decided anytime that they see a very strong and opposition young person show up at a panel, they have to send their people to also come defend government, and they have given them information that they need to bring. Let them be factual next time. I have been there in opposition. I am a member of DCP party, and I'm not going to leave our opposition politics. But for the sake of future interviews, Ayub, I have to be very honest and say that we as young people are not going to stop calling out the president. If he is a one-term president because he is not giving us capitation, because of the health, because of our economy, I am going to boldly call him a one-term president every other day until we see our taxes doing what should do and not buttering bread for some few young people to scream and shout two-term.
Thank you. Pointment. Yes, as she did, Pointment.
Thank you. It's good she has said she's a member of the DCP party.
It is public information.
So we now know the owner of the dog. And yes, that well said and done.
That's very wrong.
He needs to withdraw that statement.
I withdraw.
She made her point without making
you don't have to insult people.
Apologize.
You are learning.
Okay.
Apologize.
I apologize for that.
Thank you.
Ayub, on matters education, let me put this across. Higher education, we have what we call higher education and basic education. The Constitution envisages that the basic education should be free and compulsory for all, not the higher education. Every year, the government of Kenya, since Uhuru's regime, higher education has been receiving a funding of 80 billion. 80 billion for higher education, and we have on average 800,000 university students. That will amount to 100,000, around 100,000 shillings to every student in academic year. I'm talking about the old model. And the most expensive course in the previous model was the Bachelor of Medicine and Surgery, which costed 612,000. Not what my friends are saying, 280,000 in Uhuru. It has been 612,000 since 1980s.
That is annually?
Yeah, annually.
Okay. For how many years?
That is the whole year, 1 year.
For how many years?
That is 1 year.
The period,
6 years. 6 years.
6 years.
Yes, and the cheapest...
600,000 for the 6 years.
Allow me conclude, sir. Yes. Then, the cheapest...
We are winding up because we need to also sample...
Yeah. The cheapest was 180,000. That was Bachelor of Arts. That was in the old model. And you've seen the government used to give 100,000 to every student. That is in the old model. When you do an average of the amount that the government would have sent, it is around 300,000. So there was a deficit of 200,000 every year. 200,000 every year. That is why our universities were almost being shut down. You know? And when the new funding model was introduced, it first had issues. And I can't shy away. I was among the first people to say, this new funding model is not working. You remember? And I was very genuine. I wasn't serving any master. I said it is not working because we went through it and we saw it was not working. Then the president formed a committee last year. The committee that was formed came up with recommendations. And I was part of the team that came up with the recommendations. And the first recommendation that we came up with was the cost of program was too high.
Okay.
We reduced the cost of program for medicine to 300,000 annually. So the student will be paying 70 for the 3 semesters. And the cheapest, which is Bachelor of Arts and Basic Sciences, the student will pay around 100,000 in the whole year, down from 200,000. That was the work of our hands. That was the work of the youths who said, yes, we can listen, we can provide solutions. At first, remember, we criticized. And we said it was not working. Then we provided solutions, and the solutions are here. And they are subject to confirmations. You can check there.
Okay, thank you. Winfred, so let's sample the feedback here. We have a minute before we conclude. So the hashtag on X is Citizen Daybreak. The SMS code is 22422. at Citizen TV Kenya and at Ayub Abdikadir. They are as well very important. Samuel Musau says this regime is a factory of promises. Production is high, delivery is zero. Ruto launched climate works with big speeches, yet months later not a single real step has started in other counties. Kenya deserves action, not sermons of lies. Godi Barasaware says the gullibility of young people gives them away easily. From the current happenings, you have seen how President Ruto has been inviting them to State House with additional pledges, and they seem to be pacified. Next is from Bob Otieno Wino, says youth votes won't have a major impact come 2027. As expected, they will disintegrate along tribal lines because they can't stand on their own, depending on political bigwigs with their political parties. Next is from Sir Nixon Dugura, says, besides the scramble for the youth vote, are the youths themselves scrambling for electoral positions? Do they really believe in themselves to the extent of dominating four arms of government? Frank Orinde says the president's claim that MPs demand bribes from government officials for favorable reports is a convenient political tale, not a solution. He's the head of state with the power to act, not just talk. Populist politics won't fix a corrupt system, leadership will. Vivian Wanjero says, as long as we are still throwing away garbage out of the car windows in traffic, crossing a busy highway when a flyover is just beside it, overrunning stadium gates and forcing entry while ticketless, Kenyans and especially youth cannot claim to vouch for accountability until we begin with ourselves first. Otherwise, 2027 will be nothing different.
That's it.
Engineer Lazaro says youths create unified terms and conditions for political formations, scramble for their votes. Useless utterances like we are leaderless / formless will leave them vulnerable and easy to manipulate. Okelo Mwalimu says, going by the previous voting patterns, cartels, Cateris Paribas, it'd be like suicidal for anyone to bank all his or her hopes on the youth vote. Once the dust settles and the episode of the Gen Z uprising ends, a majority of Kenyans will retreat to their ethnic cocoons with ululations. Roger Ogola from Eldoret says, kindly ask the two distinguished regular panelists of these questions. Who elected Ruto? If Raila works with the person the people elected, what's wrong? I presume he was the people's choice. We'll leave it at that. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. We equally had to sample their feedback. I know Winfred, your hand was, but we'll have some other engagement. And to you too, Philip, too. To you too, Biko. Thanks so much for your time. I'll be unfair to them if I do so. Many thanks for your time, ladies and gentlemen. Council, thank you. Philip, thank you. Biko, thank you. Injeri, thank you. Serem, thank you so much, and Winfred, thank you. It was a beautiful banter, but civilian arguments to better our country, no personality attacks. Many thanks. I hope you build the bridges. Not talking. Probably you may do some. You may do, on 6th. You may do some handshake here afterwards. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Asante sana. It's Friday, so entertainment is up next, and we'll see you here on Monday by the grace of God. Till then, good morning.